2000. On August 27, 2020, Brenton Tarrant was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The terrorist had walked into two mosques in Christchurch in New Zealand on March 15, 2019 and killed 51 men, women and children just before Friday prayers. In his manifesto, Tarrant said the attacks were revenge for what he called a Muslim invasion of Christian lands. What were the ideas that inspired a 28-year-old white man with a seemingly normal life to commit a brutal act of terror? I'm Ali Mustafa, and this is the Christian Far Right Decoded. Brenton Tarrant laid out his motivations in a document titled The Great Replacement, a reference to the Great Replacement theory based on the white genocide conspiracy. It holds that white Christians are being systematically eradicated and replaced by inferior races such as Jews and people of color as part of a vast conspiracy. The theory is cited as a major motivation behind the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, where marchers chanted slogans like "Jews will not replace us." Tarrant described himself as a fascist who was protecting the Christian race. In a reference to anti-Muslim Serbian song from the Yugoslav War, Tarrant wrote that he worked part-time as a kebab removalist. He also had kebab remover painted on one of his semi-automatic rifles. The guns were covered in other code, such as 14 words painted prominently on one of the rifles. It's a reference to these 14 words coined by the now deceased leader of the Order, an American neo-Nazi terrorist group. Other painted references include this man, Sebastiano Venier, an Italian admiral who went to war with the Turks in the 16th century, and Luca Treni, an Italian right-wing terrorist who opened fire on a group of African migrants in 2018. One of the weapons featured the name of French-Canadian Alexandre Bissonnette, who killed 6 people at a mosque in Quebec in 2017. Tarrant's gear featured the symbol of the black sun, which dates back to the Nords of ancient Europe, but was later appropriated by the Nazis when it became a symbol of white power. And historical dates of Christian defeats of the Muslim Turks through the ages. Brenton Tarrant also made contact with imprisoned Norwegian mass murderer Anders Breivik, who said he had killed because of the threat of Muslim immigration to Norway. During his trial, Breivik greeted the court with a Nazi salute. Brenton Tarrant was different, flashing the OK sign. They're both being used by white nationalists as symbols of white power. Tarrant wrote, "As long as a white man still lives, they will never conquer our lands." Tarrant cites the Muslim possession of the Hagia Sophia as historic wrong needing correction. This passage in Tarrant's manifesto alludes to an in-joke in the alt-right movement on how shooter games had become safe spaces to meet, plan, organize, and kill without consequence. It was on these online platforms that Tarrant was desensitized and eventually radicalized. Christian white nationalists are no longer confined to the peripheries of society. Because they exist online and the communities aren't in a specific geography, the Christian far right has gone global. Its hate has found committed followers on various platforms online, and more continue to spring up. The Christian far right is no longer hanging out on street corners. It's gone virtual, making it impossible to estimate and ascertain the size of the threat. It has also gone mainstream with President Donald Trump in power, with many white supremacists supportive of his immigration policies. And that's why Christchurch might just be the beginning of a long, hard fight. And that's the Christian Far Right Decoded. Find me on Twitter at Ali_Mustafa.